and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home. I am your host, Kyle Robert. You follow me on Twitter at NotoriousKRO. With me to break down the Verizon 200 with qualifying in the books, it's Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
Hey, Kyle. Yeah, I'm extremely excited for this race tomorrow. We saw some pretty interesting qualifying numbers. Of course, Austin Cindric, the road course master in the Xfinity Series, is showing his might again this qualifying, starting second, I believe. Todd Gilliland is starting inside the top 10. What an incredible run for him. And there's a few big name guys who didn't qualify so well. So the DK prices and betting is going to be pretty interesting this week.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We sometimes we hop on here after qualifying and the betting board is basically the same. There's not really much movement.
Yep.
Maybe in that matchups that it moved five cents or something, but yeah, we had some serious tweaks, serious upheaval. Tyler Reddick is on the pole, as you mentioned. Cindric is starting second, and then Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell, and Joey Logano round out the top five.
Christopher Bell, baby, again.
Yeah, we can, as I was telling you before, I bet him top 10 at minus 105 on offshore, and now it's like minus 250. So feeling really good about that. We can also talk about kind of the guys not doing so well, including Kyle Larson, including Ross Chastain, including Dinger the Ringer. So it will be fun to kind of build some lineups and see what we can do this week. So let's just jump into DK and let's talk about pricing there. And then obviously we'll update the betting board and figure all that stuff out. We also did the Christopher Bell mini helmet giveaway. If you missed that was in the last episode. So waiting for that person to get in contact with me. If I don't hear in the next week or so, it will probably be ending up on a plane down to San Diego, where Brian will get to have it proudly on the shelf behind where he sits. So let's jump into it. Let's talk pricing. Chase Elliott, 10-6, starting 8th. Ross Chastain, 21st, starting at 10-4. And then Kyle Larson at 10-2. And then Tyler Reddick starting first at 10 even. Let's start inside this range. Obviously, Chastain and Larson are going to be incredibly popular, but I think it's definitely warranted with the price to dollar potential.
Yeah. It initially for me, just looking at this, I mean, it's hard to ignore how much faster Tyler Reddick was than anyone else.
Yeah,
at practice and qualifying. Like qualifying, he blew everyone out of the water. And even on his radio, you could hear him saying like he feels like he could get more out of the car, which is kind of scary to think, considering he was, a good 2/10 faster than everyone else. Looking at this 10K range for me, I would prefer to just go straight to Ross the Boss. He's been great at road courses this year. Trackhouse has been fantastic at road courses. Just to his 2022 season, I feel more comfortable with him than Kyle Larson, who there's been a lot wrong with what that team has done this season. He hasn't really put it together. And then Chase Elliott starting 8th. Yeah, we know how good he is at road courses, but he hasn't won one in, I think it's like the last 7. So
yeah, but he's been so damn good with all his, obviously.
Yeah,
but I mean, like, but he's been top 3 at like every track for the past month.
Well, and that's the issue is like eventually that stuff catches up to guys. And unless you're running like Kyle Larson was last year, you're going to have one of those bad races where you crash out or you have an engine problem. And Elliott might be due for one of those.
Yeah, Chastain's definitely the right answer in this range. I think Larson's an interesting pivot if you want to do a GPP lineup, but man, it's hard to get there, but maybe that's what you need. Tyler Reddick, I don't know if I'm going to get there at 10K. I think there's other options I like much better, but I will definitely be flailing around and looking for options. We'll dive into the 9K range and look at some of the names there. Kyle Busch starting 10th at 9,800. Martin Truex starting 25th at 9,600 is very interesting. Daniel Suarez, our team Trackhouse, starting 11th. Nice little qualifying, not amazing, but good enough where he could be somebody that both on DraftKings and at the betting window makes sense. At 9,400, your guy Ryan Blaney 9,200, and then Austin Cindric starting second at 9,100. I mean, this range is interesting. There's a lot of options, obviously, but like, how do you, like? I know Reddick was incredibly fast. Maybe it's just we should just do it. But Cindric, who looked great,
Yeah.
qualified second, a homecoming of sorts for him. You can save 900 and put him in your lineup. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, we are simpatico in that belief right there. I would much rather go to Cindric as my dominator to start my lineup. He's been great. I mean, that's putting it lightly, like how good he has been at road courses. I think he had like 14 top fives in the 20 road courses he ran in the Xfinity Series with multiple wins. He's top 10 in all 3 road courses this season. He's qualified inside the top 5 now in 3 of the 4. He's clearly like a road course master. He's driving good equipment. As long as he stays out of trouble, he's going to finish pretty high. Fords have been great this season in 2 of the 3 road courses. So, I mean, I don't see any reason why Cindric can't make a few adjustments, match the speed that Reddick has. And at $900 savings, yeah, it opens up a lot more possibilities.
Yep. I think the only real scary part is if it's close at the end and he tries a little too hard to go for it to get the win and ends up having issue. Because we're getting to the point, Brian, with all these people, all these different drivers
There's only
winning.
5. I think it's 5 races or so.
Yeah.
Something left.
Well, and just having a win does not guarantee you a spot in the playoff.
No.
There's been so much opportunity. So if you get that second win, then you're guaranteed.
Yeah. That said,
especially for Cindric, who's been so kind of up and down.
Yeah.
Getting that second win locks him in. And so I could see, between that and kind of the homecoming, him really pushing, and maybe he has an accident towards the end and finishes 23rd and kind of kills a lot of lineups. But
I will say though, it is interesting because right after he won the Daytona 500, we were looking at season-long odds, and one of the odds that really piqued my interest was taking him under 1.5 wins on the season at the time, because I think it was plus money or something. We'd have to look back at that, but just knowing what he was up against as a rookie and all that stuff. So, I mean, if we made that bet, or if people made that bet, you're kind of rooting against yourself if you like Cindric this week, especially starting in the 2-hole, putting him in your lineup. You're hoping for a win there. But that's the exact reason why I like Ryan Blaney here. Starting 6th, he's like 3rd or 4th in the actual points, but in terms of playoff points, he's sitting as the first 2 guys above the cusp. And so he's going to need a win really bad over these next 5 races to get into the playoffs. And he's showed decent speed practicing qualifying. So I think Blaney's another guy you might want to squeeze in.
Yeah. And to your point about the Cindric bet, if you took the under on 1.5 wins, if you want to hedge against that a little bit, this is the week to do it. Although now that he's qualified second, that number's moved a little bit. But that is another way, because I think if he gets that second win, this place is probably his best bet to do so. Let's go down and keep, as we keep traveling along, we have Denny Hamlin, 8,900, starting 15th. Chase Briscoe, who qualified really well, 88. William Byron, 87. Christopher Bell, 86. Harvick, Dinger, starting 20th, 8,200. I think it's going to be a compelling option for a lot of people.
Just won the Xfinity race. So obviously comfortable on the track, shows what he can do. And Logano starting 5th at 8K. So of this range, what name or 2 really jumps out to you as people you want to find a home for in your lineups? Man, this is a hard range. Honestly, I would probably just go straight to Dinger starting 20th, because I feel like he could maybe crack the top 10. I have no faith in Harvick doing well at this road course. Bell starting 4th. He's another guy. Maybe you start him as your dominator in this race. Chase Briscoe, I have no faith that he'll finish the race. I think he's shown too much boneheadedness towards the end of races that I can't trust him. JGR, the older guys in that crew, Hamlin, Truex, and Kyle Busch, were kind of lost today, so I don't like them. And Logano, I'll never want to get to him, especially starting fifth.
Yeah, you never have to twist my arm to fade Chase Briscoe, so I'm excited to see what now that he's qualified so well.
Yeah.
If I can get some good numbers on the head-to-head market, because I think there could be some fun to be had over there. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't know that he's necessarily somebody I want to get to. I'd rather go to Christopher Bell, 8,600, have him perform well, and lock up a top 5, potentially win the race. Harvick and Dinger are interesting. Obviously, Harvick's not an ace at road courses, but he's been so solid this year and gotten really a lot out of his car, even when qualifying doesn't really go his way. So I think that there is some fun to be had in that range. We'll dip down even more into the 7K. We got Alex Bowman at 7,800, starting 28th. It's been a rough season for Alex, and he's just it's
The entire
interesting.
Hendrick team did
Yeah,
not
it
look
really
good today.
has. Like Chase Elliott's been incredible, but like the other 3 guys have been really feast or famine. Kyle Larson's just taking a huge step back. Byron's either winning the race or crashing or having an issue, and Alex Bowman's
Exactly.
just ending up in the wrong spot at the wrong time and getting collected. So kind of a wild ride. Christopher Buescher looked good. Only qualified 16th. I think 7,500 is a really nice number on him. He has had some impressive finishes this year on road courses, and I think could be really nice. Michael McDowell starting 7th. I am probably not going to get there. Eric Jones, no thank you. Ty Gibbs, I could see myself getting towards 7K, starting 26th in Kurt Busch's car. Might actually be kind of interesting because they're not like asking him to push super hard for the win. They want him to be
But he
comfortable in the
will.
car. Yeah, and so maybe it's like, well, I know you're improving each week, and maybe we can squeeze a top 5, top 10 kind of finish, and he doesn't do anything silly at the end to try and win the race. And we're loving life. So at starting 26 at 7K, I think I could find my way there.
Yeah, Ty Gibbs, I mean, blown away last week with how well he drove. He stayed
Yep.
out of trouble. He looked great in the car. The one thing I did notice today, they were talking about it on the broadcast during practice and qualifying, is that like the braking in these next gen cars is a lot different than what he's used to in
Yep.
Xfinity, which played into his first couple of laps. And then you saw him improve a little bit later. He was driving a little bit deeper into the corners. So it'll be interesting to see. He's probably getting on the simulator tonight, I would assume. And then tomorrow during the race, like it's going to be a long day. And he's clearly a lot more mature on the track than his age would kind of indicate.
Yep.
So I feel like a few laps in, he might actually get a little bit better. And if he stays out of trouble, 26 to about 15, 16, I think is definitely feasible.
Yep.
And you'll see in our betting card, there's another wager we're interested in for a little bit.
Yeah, it shows you the excitement and faith we have in him.
Yeah.
We'll keep dipping down. Almirola starting 14th at 6,900. Keselowski starting 12th at 6,800. We have Dylan Wallace, Cole Custer, who I don't hate. Starting 24th. I think he could have a nice performance here. Then Stenhouse, Ty Dillon, Harrison Burton. We'll just keep kind of diving. That's Daniel Kivat. That he was a former F1 driver. That's interesting. Curious to see that might be someone that I might find a home for. I know it's a completely different car, but sometimes your brain like you understand like how to approach the turns and that kind of stuff. Even though the car might not move like he expects, I think he's obviously gotten between the simulator and kind of practice and stuff, gotten some experience. But any thoughts as we dip below 7K?
I'm still interested in Bubba starting 19th, 6,500. That 2311 team has shown a lot of progress lately. I mean, they literally gave Bubba the better crew coming into this weekend too, to last weekend to take away from Ty Gibbs. He has shown the speed. He's seemingly getting a little bit better as we progress throughout this season too. And I feel like he could potentially get into the top 10. 6,500 is super cheap. All you're hoping for is that he doesn't wreck out And I know he's been absolutely terrible at road courses, but his qualifying lap today, his last one, looked really good until he had a little bit of like a lockup, which cost him some time there, but he was close. I mean, he was only like a second off of the top 10. So
Yeah. Yeah, I just worry that, there's such a long, hard race and a lot of mental energy going that he just kind of gets frustrated with something that he probably shouldn't be worrying about.
yeah, but he's had success lately, which
Yeah,
could help mitigate some of that frustration that he
for
was
sure.
feeling over that stretch where he was really struggling. So that could play into him being in better mood tomorrow or something,
100%. An interesting name for a GPP lineup for sure. All right, let's build the lineup, Brian. Let's find a way to cash some lineups this week and win some money. I will let you have the tee, and let me know who is the first name going into our lineup.
We're gonna start with the guy that you and I both wanted to start with, Austin Cindric, starting second, 9,100. He's got to be in there.
Yep, and then Chalk Donkey season, Ross Chastain, 10-4 going in.
Oh man! All right, let's just do it, man. Let's just play the chalk here. Dinger, 8,200.
Yep,
I love rooting for AJ.
we talked about it. We both have him on their betting card. Ty Gibbs starting 26th, 7K. I think makes sense. Then it gives us 2 spots, so we can dive way down here and find an interesting option. We can go back up. We can, I'm letting you guide the ship. Cole Custer 6,300 could make some sense.
You know who's really interesting is actually Austin Dillon, who he's not the greatest at road courses, but he had some sort of equipment malfunction during qualifying that he wasn't allowed to run his lap or something. So which is why he's pushed so far down the list. I feel like he's probably kind of a sneaky play. He might be in a lot of lineups, but 29th he's much better than a 29th place car, even at a road course.
Yeah, I like it. So that gives us 8,600 to play with. I mean, we could go up to Christopher Bell, but I think with Cindric, we don't really want to do that. There's not enough laps really for multiple dominators to make sense. I think Christopher Buescher starting 16th at 7,500 makes a lot of sense. You talked about Bubba, but I think at this point, with Austin Dillon, I think playing both of them is probably a little unnecessary.
A little risky there, yeah.
Cole Custer, I feel better about, but still a little unnecessary. So I'm gonna say Buescher is the name, unless you have somebody you want to pound the table for.
Oh, I'm not going to argue with you with my man Chris Buescher.
I figured that we get a lot of pushback there, but I did want to make sure I wasn't missing somebody or not thinking about somebody. So
I think somebody who's an interesting name to consider is Joey Hand.
Yep.
He looked pretty good, and it's the kind of thing like even in like older NASCAR video games where if you can just avoid contact and he can just run the laps, he might wind up with a top 20 finish just by not wrecking out and completing all the laps on the day. Like
I just worry that he's around some Eric Jones or Brad Keselowski or some other incident that's not really his fault. But I mean, totally, he could just run around all day, get a 17th, and then you're happy to have him in your lineup at 5,700. So we'll save this lineup. We'll check back on it on Wednesday, in your feed on Thursday. So make sure you check that out. I was building in my first NFL lineup for week 1. I'm very excited about that.
Oh gosh,
it can't get here soon enough. Let's go over to the odds board and talk about it. Chase Elliott still is your favorite, plus 550, plus 650, depending on where you look. Tyler Reddick soars up the betting board, 5.5, depending on where you go. Right behind him, Austin Cindric. I have an outright on him for the show purposes at 13. I got it at 12 myself. He's 6.5. Very happy to have that on the car. Daniel Suarez, 7.5, 10. I think he was. What did I bet him at? I think I bet him. No, I did not. I did Cindric and Chastain and Bell. So let me go back. So his number shortened significantly. He's between 7 and 10, depending on where you look. Right
I
behind
just
him.
want to point out real quick the three of the like the top 5 guys are all extremely young drivers. Reddick, Briscoe, Cindric. I mean,
Yep.
this is just showing you like what this new car is helping the sport do.
Yep, and the young talent that are coming. Cindric's in his first full season. Reddick's getting started. He's obviously going to make the move to 2311. Suarez and Team Trackhouse, what they're doing.
I mean, Briscoe's only his second full year
Yep.
in the Cup Series.
And a lot of these guys have gotten their first win this year too, which is crazy. All 4 of them actually. So the next wave is Kyle Larson at 10, Ross Chastain at 10. You can still get a decent price on him. I like that.
Yeah.
Ryan Blaney, 12-1.
Considering I took it at 18, I'm not going back to the well.
Yeah.
I'm glad I took it when I did though.
Yep. I got Christopher Bell at, let's take a look.
22.
And he's, man, we talk about it every week.
Sell the ticket. Sell the ticket.
Sell the ticket. Call it a day.
He's like he is the optimal like stock that you could ever purchase before a race. His stock always gets more valuable as we get to green, and then it probably sinks once the race starts.
Yep. And then sell it right as we head into stage 3 when he's in 3rd place and ends up in 13th or something.
Exactly.
Kyle Busch starting 10th at 15-1 is kind of interesting. That's a decent price. You can get 18 at FanDuel. Joey Logano is starting 5th. What are we doing?
No chance. Absolutely not.
Dinger, he's at a price now where it's like a lot more palatable.
The only thing about him is like I understand that this is a road course, so you can kind of take out too much of the differences of the vehicles, but Colleague has not been great this year, so I don't know like how much he can actually what the actual chances of him winning. I don't even think that they're 25-1 in my opinion with the equipment he's in.
And if he's close, he's going to go for it, and that may be a good thing, or it may put him back in 22nd, and then
exactly
you're wondering why you bet him. Truex had a decent number, but we talked about him. It's just his road course performances have not been the same this year. Christopher Buescher, not a terrible number. I could do that 50.
It's just I can't see myself getting this far down in the market.
So in terms of outrights, Brian, if we're just obviously we have numbers that we've bet and stuff, but if you're just getting into the outright market today and based on what we know, who are the top 2 or 3 names that at the top of your list that you're considering at their current odds?
First and foremost, still Ross the Boss 10-1. He's been too good this year to ignore. Christopher Bell is somebody to keep an eye on, even with the lessened odds. I mean, I would much prefer the 22-1, but the fact that he was the fastest car during practice, he was still really good during qualifying, and there was some mistakes he made on his qualifying lap. So he's probably the closest to Reddick, in my opinion.
Yeah, and at 14-1, I think is fine. I think 10-1 is probably a little short, but I think if you can get north of there, you're fine. I still don't
Cindric is great, and like he's gonna do fantastic, and he could possibly win. But that 6-1 is so short for a guy still in his first season. Yeah, there's a lot of mistakes to be made as a rookie driver, and we saw it last week too with Pocono just getting out of control, spinning out multiple times. So
yeah, I think if I'm betting at the top of the board, it's Chase Elliott or Daniel Suarez. I'm not betting these guys at these numbers.
Yeah.
But happy to have the outright ticket at this point. Let's go to the top 10 market and see if we can find some numbers that we like a little bit better. A lot of these have significantly shifted. I think Cindric was plus or minus 180, 160.
Minus 185, I got it at. So.
And now minus 450. That's some serious movement. So, Sugar House isn't a number we bet, but it is it's good that they have their numbers up so we can kind of use them as a reference point for where these numbers started and where they are now.
Yeah, Blaney's too. His numbers, I got that at minus 160. It's almost double.
Yeah, Dinger at minus 110, I think is fine, like for a top 10. But we talked about him a little bit. He could go for it, and then you get 16th, and then you're hating life. I had that experience early in the year.
Yeah. You had Bell, I think, top 10 early in the week. It's minus 250. Now you got it at minus 135.
Oh, you love to see it. That was my best bet.
That was your
5
best bet.
units, baby. 5 units. Let's go.
We should start something where on the show we could sell back our tickets for value.
He's gonna get 11th just to stick my nose in it, like Eric Jones last week. Christopher Buescher at plus 120 to top 10 is not a bad bet. I'm actually going to take it.
That is a decent number. Because I was contemplating it at plus 105 early in the week.
Yeah. Let's see.
I just have a worry, though, because Keselowski is starting only a few spots in front of him, and we've already seen him wreck his teammate before. So if Buescher's anywhere near Brad Keselowski and they're fighting for a top 10, Brad K is gonna wreck him.
Yeah, my hope is that he gets in that like top 5-7 conversation pretty quickly and then just kind of rolls there while Keselowski's like rolling around in 17th. Both of us added it. It's Ty Gibbs. It's top 10 at 3-1. It's on the card
Definitely
for both of us.
For
sure. It's a number we can't pass up. I'm not asking him to win the race. I'm not even asking him to finish in the top 5. Just give me in the top 10. We'll be happy.
That's interesting that they still have Busch.
Yeah. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't want to tell people. Cole Custer, 6-1 to top 10 is kind of fun.
He's burned me before, so I can't get there. I like the Austin Dillon 5-1 to top 10. I'm gonna add that. I feel like that's some good value.
Almirola is 6-1. Bubba 12-1, 15-1 at FanDuel.
Wow, he's still 15-1. Yeah, I got that. I bet that for a quarter unit early in the week, and I would bet that again. I think
that's
I'm just gonna add another quarter unit. I'm gonna go half a unit on that for this week.
Do it. Gilly Gang, is he still 30-1?
Let's see. I have FanDuel up right now. If that is the case, 30-1 still at FanDuel. So if you can bet that, he's starting 8th.
Yeah, he's gonna finish like 17th.
Like, do they have? Can you cash out a bet at FanDuel?
Because they probably do, but I don't know if like those bets are there.
Because think about that. Like, if you go and you bet that now, you wait till after stage 1 where Gilliland hopefully finishes inside that top 10. You just cash that out, you double your money, and you're a happy camper, and there's no more risk.
So I'm looking at best single laps that he put down. Yeah, he's way down there. Like he qualified 9th, but his best single lap is like 20 something. That's not a number. Like for example,
that's okay though. Starting where he is, it's going to be difficult to pass.
Christopher Buescher, for example, is 12th. Gillen's like 20, 25. Bubba's quick. Let's see. I'm gonna pull up the
Bubba's coming.
Speed.
It's getting better.
Yeah, he's figuring stuff out. Bubba was solid. I'm gonna add that Bubba top 10. What was that number?
15-1.
Yeah, that's going I'm not gonna put a lot, but Bubba Wallace, T10.
He's been good recently.
At 15-1, like that's a bet that I'm like. I bet Chastain and Cindric at shorter numbers to win the fucking race. I just need him to get top 10.
Exactly.
All right, half a unit on there. Let's see what happens. Just get me a top 10 like you did last week. Let's look at head-to-heads and see how numbers are moving. Your guy Ryan Blaney plus 160 versus Tyler Reddick. I know Reddick's starting on the pole, but that is interesting. Michael McDowell over Brad K is kind of interesting. McDowell's looked decent on road courses this year and has been much better in the new Cup car. So I think that's kind of fun.
Screw it, I'm taking it. I'm going with
I'll tell you what I am taking.
Mikey Mick. Holy crap!
Yeah, I'm taking Martin Truex versus Chase Briscoe. 3-1 on a driver that I trust like that. I mean, Briscoe could easily, like we talked about it with Chris Wormy. Like nobody should be that big of an underdog unless it's like freaking BJ McLeod versus Chase Elliott. Like
all right, I can't allow you to have all the fun here. I'm going to party with Marty too on that because that's
ride the wave. Logano versus Kyle Busch. Don't want any piece of that. Bell versus Kyle Busch. Pardon me. Dinger versus Hamlin. That's kind of fun.
Cindric, if you keep going, Cindric versus Tyler Reddick.
Yeah. I'll hold on. I have my Cindric outright. I want to bet something else on Cindric, but I'm not seeing much. Like this number makes a lot more sense. Like Chastain minus 190, even where he's starting, it makes more sense.
Even that is a little bit short in a matchup, like because Hamlin at times has been the fastest car on track. I know last week it was.
Yeah, I think I
a
want
piece of tape.
I think I'd want if I got plus 180, 185 on Hamlin, I'd probably take it. 165 is just a little too short for me to jump on board. Interesting. There's a lot less
yeah, I noticed that.
Outrights this week. I am gonna pull up FanDuel and see if they have any head-to-heads that are worth jumping on. Usually their head-to-heads aren't great. We should also look at at how the manufacturer odds have moved too. So
FanDuel has Martin Truex at plus 310 over Briscoe.
All right. Well, I will take that. Thank you.
We're taking that.
We'll take our extra 10 cents.
Byron over Bell still.
No, Bell's over Byron. Minus 156. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Suarez, Cindric over Suarez is interesting. Yeah,
I hate that their freaking odds are so when they set theirs, because I look at their stuff pretty early in the week. They begin their driver matchups at minus 112, which is frustrating.
Yeah. Do they have? Oh, here we go. All right. So I did take top Ford was Cindric at what did I get it at? 310. Now it's 200. So I feel pretty good about grabbing that. Yeah, it's really these top three guys, and then kind of I don't hate Christopher Buescher at 15-1 to top Ford. Like I don't think it happened.
I mean,
but at
he's got to finish ahead of 3 top 10 qualifiers, Cindric, Briscoe, and Blaney there. I almost feel like Bell to be top Toyota is almost a sure thing as long as he doesn't run into any trouble.
I'm almost wondering if we should do Bubba Wallace to top Toyota instead of top 10 and at 50-1 instead of 15, but
I mean if you do a tenth a unit on that, what does that pay out? 5 units?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Anything here? Top Chevy, any value? Dinger at 15-1 isn't terrible. I could see him.
I like Ross the Boss at 5-1.
Yeah, that's a good number because it was like 2 or 3-1 when the numbers open. That's interesting.
Honestly, I almost feel like Chase Elliott too at 3-1 to just be the top Chevrolet instead of trying to bet him on like because top 3 market he's plus 180, top 5 he's minus 125, and so he could literally finish 7th. And we could have another road course race where it's all Fords in the top 5 or 6. and the first finishing Chevy at 3-1, as opposed to going with him inside the top 5.
And that's why I put Chastain on there. I 5-1 to chat for Chastain to top 5. I think is a good, or to be top Chevy is a good number. So I added that to the card. Okay. So let's recap our betting cards. Let's talk about where we're at. Let's give a best bet for our show today, and let's get out of here, Brian Twining. So I have 3 outrights. I have Cindric, I have Chastain, I have Bell. Chastain at 10-1 when I have him at 7.5-1 is tempting, but I think I'll be okay there. I have Bell at 22 for half a unit, and then Cindric at 13 for 3/4 of a unit. My best bet from last week, or from earlier this week rather, Christopher Bell top 10 minus 135. Obviously that's moved significantly, so can't really get on that. I have Bell over Byron at minus 110. We have a show bet of Bowman versus Buescher, which I'm hating more and more I think about it. It somehow gave you even money on it, so yeah, you're swindling me over there, Brian Twining. Blaney over Reddick, which at plus 140 is probably still too short. Hamlin over Chastain at plus 215, probably still too short. Larson over Elliott at plus 150. I think that's gone the other way. I have top Ford for Austin Cindric at 310. I have Ty Gibbs, which we added today, at 3-1. Christopher Buescher to top 10 at 120. Bubba to top 10, put a little piece of it at 15-1. I'm actually going to put a little. I have Truex over Briscoe just because it's plus 310. And then I have Chastain as the top Chevy at 5-1. Break down your card. Hit me with your best bet.
So like I said earlier in the week, I'm sticking to my guns here. My only outright is going to be Ryan Blaney at 18-1. I took that for 2 units early in the week. I had jumped on Chris Buescher to top 10 at plus 105. It's up a little bit, but I'm comfortable with that number. Blaney to top 10 at minus 160. That's almost double. Cindric to top 10 at minus 185 for 2 units is looking very tasty right now, considering how good he was at qualifying. Bubba to top 10 at 15-1. I added an extra 1/4 unit to that for a half a unit. Buescher over Bowman. Blaney over Reddick at plus 140. Blaney as the top Ford I bet earlier in the week at plus 425. Blaney to top 5 was my best bet earlier in the week at plus 210, and that's down to plus 130 or so. So I got some good value there. Ty Gibbs to top 10 at 3-1. Austin Dillon to top 10 at 5-1 for a half a unit is probably my favorite bet I've made today. McDowell over Keselowski just because I hate Brad K. And Truex Jr. over Briscoe at plus 310 because that's way too good of odds to pass up in a driver matchup.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. With that being said, what is your best bet for the Verizon 200 at the Brickyard?
Well, I'm not going to add any more units to this, but it's going to show my absolute hatred. Michael McDowell over Brad Keselowski. Give it to me every single week.
Love it. I think that makes sense. I think that's a good bet. Actually, I'm going to take that too. It's not going to be my best bet, but I think it's a bet that's worth taking. I will add it to the card. I am also confirming the number that I'm going to add because I think I'm going to add one more bet and it's going to be my best bet. Yep, I am confirming that. I am adding AJ Allmendinger T10 at minus 125. 3 units. I think he runs really well. I think he gets a top 10. I don't know that he ever feels like he can win the race, but I think he's like 7th most of the day and locks it up. Hoping Bell and Dinger end up in the top 10 and then cash some other bets in between and end up having a solid day. Brian Twining, we did it once again. Everybody enjoy the race. Let us know down in the comments your best bet for the race, whether it's top 10 and top 5 and outright, all that good stuff. For Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert. You guys enjoy the race, and we'll talk to you next week.